Okay, so welcome. So let's get into the details of the webinar and its structure. Okay, we'll break this into uh, two sessions, if you will. In the first session, we'll cover the introduction, the value proposition, and the sales bridge. Okay. Now, if you see your screen, right, it consists of 15 minutes of introduction, followed by 15 minutes of value proposition, and then the bridge, the sales bridge for 5 minutes. Okay. I given you a brief in your introductory one, so you get a little inkling of what you're getting into. Now, these are the details of actually how the breakdown happens for each structure. Okay, this is what happens in the first 35 minutes. You have in the first 15 minutes, right? Some salient features showing high energy. Okay, so your high should be very high in pitch. You should greet, entertain, and maintain people from to understand the ambiances of high energy and high potential. Okay, so that's how it starts. So this is some of the hygiene factors. Then uh, what people are there to understand what is it in it for them, not for you, right? It's for them. So 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 you need to make that a very prominent headline during the time that this is what you will get by the end of so much, right? Clear? So that, and then give some acknowledgements to either your past people or give some sort of a feedback you would have received in the mechanism, or acknowledge the people for certain questions that you'll ask during the process of doing things. Okay, so give the right kind of acknowledgements and to your mentors, to your the people who help you during the digital assets, to the people who have joined this and asked you questions before this, and so on and so forth. Okay, so acknowledgements are important, and show them certain other people who benefited through with the virtue of using these things, right? So this is happening in those 15 minutes, mind you. Okay, so don't spend too much time on a particular one. So if there are, say roughly about 7 of those, maybe 2 minutes each, right? Um, so with that, the context setting for the audience, right? Uh, Now, as I told you earlier, it's going to be a 1 hour to 90 minutes. So depending on what your asset is, you might want to relate to it accordingly. Okay. So set the context that what is a typical breakdown and what will they kind of hear from you or show whatever that you're going to show them in the sequence of events and the minutes it will take to show them through. Okay. With that, you take notes when you're getting asked certain questions also, and ask them to take notes while each of these elements are happening, right? What does that bring about? That brings about the seriousness that people will have, right? The note making notes and you taking the same at your end. They show the seriousness that people should be showing. Then uh, you should be asking, you should let people know that they can ask questions towards the end of your session so their rhythm doesn't break. Okay, why? Because you'll have to utilize the maximum amount of time in the purpose that you are serving that this webinar for, right? Ideally, it is for converting them into a customer. That should be a goal, because your questions can then go all over the place. So leave the questions, whatever they ask, if people even prompt you in between, let them know that the way this has been designed is that they are allowed to ask questions towards the end of the session, and you will give them time, so much time for doing that. Okay, then give certain statistics, right? The vital statistics of the industry that this digital asset will belong to. Give the whatever credentials that you're showing, or rather whatever sources of elements that you're showing there should have the right kind of credentials. Okay, and you should give the credits to the respective either the individual or the systems or the website that you want to or the agency that you're taking this from. Okay, so those industry stats are very important. You should show some always. Then you start with short introduction, right? This would mean before, okay, so as a hygiene factor again, so you're using high energy in the beginning. Now, as an hygiene factor, you should want to ask them their permission, right? Should you start with, that you need to sell this to them? So take the permission to sell them, right? That give me a permission so I can talk about your digital asset so that it eventually results in they benefiting it and you actually selling it through, right? So that is the purpose. So people who are naysayers or who think are taken by surprise or whatever this is, who didn't expect this and now are looking at this, might want to leave. You can very credibly ask them that this is what the purpose is and this is what you're going to do. People who don't think this is right forum for them, they can always leave, right? So that's giving them the opportunity to do that as well, but at the same time you're asking the opportunity whether you can do this for the rest of them. So now this will show the confidence that one is kind of claiming while doing this, and at the same time create a credibility, right, of sorts. At the same time, it'll give you the targeted audience because the remaining audience is targeted then, because they're expecting this, they want to learn about this, and then they're waiting for that, whatever hour or time frame that you're talking about to hear you out. Okay, and then show them the mission that you really are at because of the digital asset, because this is what we discussed in RISE1. So bring it out very clearly, right? What your purpose is, and again, remember your mission is bigger than you. So that should be very clearly coming out, and people relate to you accordingly and understand the larger purpose, so that there's credibility which is getting formed. And with that, do a trial close, right? And we discussed. I told you a little hint of that from a lead magnet and a funnel magnet perspective. Show that the free, as a lead magnet or a funnel magnet, you're giving them a free course or a free book or whatever that is, right? Or a bundle, and whatever that you're trying to sell through that point of time. Show the value of the tripwire by showcasing, give an example of the courses, the e-course online thing, right? Give them various bundles from the courses, showing that this is the conceptual course, and the course consists of this, but we are adding these bundles to it from A, B, C, D sources, so that becomes your tripwire of sorts, that people find that for the price they're paying, it is coming at a value for them because of so many freebies and the elements that you're passing through, and you're showing the credibility for the same. Okay, though the value is so much. So you end those first 35 minutes accordingly. All right. So what you've established is you established yourself. You've taken the acknowledgement to sell, right? And while you're selling to them, by taking permission at every end, the webinar is going to be so much time. We're going to do a sale and so on and so forth. You introduce yourself also in a particular way and taking the permission to do so. And then with that, you are closing the chapter by showing the tripwire. Okay, clear? Now once you introduce the tripwire, you add your value propositions, right? The concept and the experience. This is typically those three secrets that you revealed. You talk to them, and now this is how you're starting your selling process in a particular way. Okay, so you're talking about the concept, you're talking about the experience you have for that concept, right? And what others have kind of experienced through with this kind of a concept. Same for value 2 and value 3. So you're in 5 minutes each of each value with showcasing the concept and its experience with which others have benefited from. That after it's concluded, right, would have created a mindset for the people of what is it that they were always in a suspense of, and what is that they're getting at the value that they're getting. Okay, and then you put the sales bridge in. Okay, so you remember you started tripwire where you threw some bundle, you threw something freebie, and you showed them what the course actual value is and so on and so forth. That was your tripwire for the conceptual one. And now you're adding a sales bridge in the next 5 minutes after you laid the proposition. Again, so energy should be high, your politeness should be showing, your ambience should be right, and all those factors of soft ones should exist, right? Both ethical behavior and all those factors. And that should be imbibed into you, right? I'm not talking about something which is showing as a facade, but it should be something which is imbibed into you. So in the sales bridge, right, ask a question and suggest, okay, what is written on the screen is all about the fact that you will, typically you are answering a question they might have in their mind. So answer it accordingly and suggest that this is more of a conceptual course that people start getting their roots onto. But to reach the tree, they will have to learn more, for which you have other courses, the bundles of which have been thrown in, right? And then that's where you start creating the sense of urgency. Your external environment, that's where the world is going through, what people should be doing, right? So you put a time factor that you will be giving a certain time to this for these bundles to come into play, so that people are thinking now, right, until you come to that point during the webinar. So the reason for the course for 2 questions, right? Now, once you're asking them the 2 questions or giving answers to those 2 questions, right? You also let them know the reasons. You remember the research that we did, right? It was the answer and the solution format of sorts, the question and the solution format for that, and then you had several answers for these. So you bring out based on your secrets or your value proposition the 2 questions, and then you're answering them. So while you're answering the second one, right? You are giving them the reasons for those questions, in terms of what is the problem, why it was caused, where it was caused, how it's been taken care of, and also the whole shenanigan of what, where, when, what, and how. So these, before they ask, you are actually putting a question through and answering it through, because by experience you would have learned that. Okay, and then people will realize, oh, there is more to learn. This is just not it. Okay, because this is the conceptual course, mind you, right? As an example for course, and you're giving them the understanding that this will have more to it in your actual core course or subsequent courses that comes about. Or in case of a book, series 1 is getting sold, but series 2 has a deeper meaning, and the 3rd one will have a larger one. Or your journal, right? You're giving concepts in the journal, right? The deeper one is going to come in the next one, and so on and so forth. So depending on your digital assets that you want to create out there. So with that said, the live qualification I told you earlier, right, during your 35 minutes. Now you're putting up a mindset for people, what to expect, what not to expect. People will be forming their opinion about what they see, what they not. And then at the end of that, last couple of minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, you are now requesting for unqualified audience to register. Say this is what it's going to lead to. So people who think this is not for them, they should leave now, because then you're putting their time at play right now. And that will occur very authoritatively for others, that you are, kind of congruence of the fact that people's time is important to you, because yours is for yourself. Okay, so that's the answer you're giving them in the virtue of doing this. When you're asking people to exit, it's not relevant for them. Then for the next level of sales, right, the sales that you want to do, you're asking them permission again. Then that I'm continuing my sales process, so that people will understand what is next coming to them. Okay, so now you're keeping them abridged and abreast of the fact that what is coming their way throughout the whole process. Okay, and the expectations are getting met. With that, I'll take you to the next 3 for the next 45 minutes, what you should be doing in the seminar. Okay, because 10 minutes is a buffer, remember. Okay, I'll see you in the next one.